Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today's deck's got a special spot in my heart. I'm excited to share it with you. And additionally, I appreciate you taking the time to watch today's video and stick around because we got a lot going on. We're going to talk about the main board. We'll talk about the sideboard. We'll pull those both together into a how-to guide for you for your best of 3 matches. And then we're going to go play some competitive Magic in both best of 1 and best of 3. And today's deck, we have a Mardu Knights deck. It reserves a special spot in my heart because I did about 6 months ago hit Mythic with my own kind of version of it with the Chance for Glory. Unfortunately, that is not in Standard now, but if you guys do want some fun to go check some things out, you can do that. But today's deck is all about the Platinum to Mythic 6+ wins. I'm very excited to share this deck because I think it's super competitive and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So before we go ahead and check out the match and the deck and all that jazz that we got going on, I just want to say thank you, Planeswalkers. I truly appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there as I make my way towards 10,000 subs hopefully this year. And then additionally, please go ahead and like the video if you enjoy it, if you learn something new or are looking forward to playing the deck list. And last but not least, other great ways to support the channel down below. Now, while you're down there, you guys can go ahead and check out the timestamps and skip to the section that you would like to watch, whether it's the deck tech or matches or conclusions. So let's go ahead now and check out this Mardu Knights deck for our deck tech portion of today. So here's what we got going on. Again, like I said, this is the Platinum to Mythic 6+ wins Mardu Knights deck. I really like this one and this version for several reasons, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But for everyone that is new, everyone that's returning, the deck list is available for you down below in the description, so you do have access to it right away. Additionally, with the deck link. And on top of that, if you do have questions or comments, let me know down below. I'll do my best to respond. And also, I do have my Discord server down there, so you guys can feel free to hop in and hang out. And while you're down there, you can check out my Untapped profile, follow my journey. And I also have the companion app available for you, so you can track your own stats and share your journey as well. So here's what we got going on again today with the Mardu Knights deck. Mardu is the white, the red, and the black color schema from the Magic Pinwheel. I like calling it that. And it's the plains, the mountains, and the swamps, giving us Mardu from Tercure. And now it's all about the Knights because it is essentially a Knights tribal deck. Every creature here has, for the most part, I believe, I'll have to check the sideboard here, is Knight. So keep that in mind. It's all going to have that synergy and play around that. Now, this deck is really low to the ground. It's a quick-paced aggro deck, so keep that in mind. It does run 22 lands, which is a little high in my opinion for this. That's something you could optimize. And additionally, something you could change is put in some modals or those kinds of things. That can help you there, like an Agadeem's to pull back some of these creatures if you need, for example, or some of the other ones. Now, the other call out here with this deck objectively, as I mentioned, is about doing damage relatively quickly as fast as you can and burn your opponents down. It's going to be great in best of 1 and potentially hold up fairly well in best of 3. It's going to excel against those mid-range and late game decks as long as we're popping along on the curve. And if we can close off with some of those finishers like Mollusk Skyclave or Embercleave there. So that is how this deck operates at a high level. So quickly, we're going to run through and do our 10,000 foot view of this deck so that we can see it in its totality. And then we're going to come back and dive into each of these cards by themselves here. So first up, we have Venerable Knight. This card is a creature that when it dies, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on another target knight we control. Additionally, we have Fervent Champion. This is one of my favorite 1-drops from Throne of Eldraine, also probably in current Standard. It's a first striker with haste, and I run this also in my Mono Red deck. It's a very prominent one in Mono Red. Whenever it attacks another target attacking knight we control, gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and then equipment costs 3 less to activate. So that is very powerful with this card, something to not forget because it does make a huge difference difference. And one of the things that you could throw in this board too is also something like a Shadow Spear at turn 2 on this guy, or dropping this guy with a Shadow Spear turn 2 is always pretty nice. Then we have Worthy Knight. So Worthy Knight here, as we cast another Knight spell, we get to create a 1/1 white human creature token, which is really nice. So continuing to go wide, build out those bodies, and get that additional chip damage in, which can really make a difference for us. Then we have Black Lance Paragon. So this card is more of a defensive play. It's a nice 3/1 body, but what it does is when it enters the battlefield, target knight gains death touch and lifelink until the end of the turn. Now you can absolutely play it as you're attacking in and catch someone off. A lot of times you can pop that on your Fervent Champion for that first strike flash. That's going to really make an impact and do wonders for you. Then we have Rimrock Knight. So this is one of those adventure cards. It's instant for 1 there. We can target creature, gets +2/+0 till end of turn. And then additionally, this is a 3/1 Knight body that can't block though. We have a great card here in Dire Tactics. This is perfect in this particular deck because we can exile target creature. If we don't, we control a human. We lose life equal to creature's toughness. Pretty much everything in this deck is a human. Let's look quick. It is a human. So you don't have to worry about it. It pairs really well in here. And this is one of those key interaction cards for our opponents to move something out of the way and clear a lane for us. Then we have Stormfist Crusader. So here Stormfist is super powerful. It's a 2/2 Menace Knight, and at the beginning of our upkeep, each player draws a card and loses 1 life. Really big. Then we have Inspiring Veteran. Here it's a nice +1/+1 to all other knights that we control as well. And then last but not least, in terms of the creatures for this deck, we have Acclaimed Contender. When it enters the battlefield, if we control another knight, so you got to keep that in mind. We can look at the top 5 cards of our library. This is going to help us dig for that additional knight that we may need, like Inspiring Veteran, or grab an Aura, Equipment, or Legendary Artifact card from among them and put it into our hand. So it's a great way to grab some of these things to finish, and then put the rest in the bottom of our library in a random order. So really helping tee up that turn 4 match close can really make a huge difference for you. Then we got Maul of the Skyclaves. When this enters, we can attach it to target creature we control. Equip creature gets +2/+2 as flying and first strike, and then it costs 4 to equip. And then last but not least, good old Embercleave. What's different about this deck is it actually runs 3, which isn't bad. If you want to be more linear, you can run 4. You can drop Maul of the Skyclaves, but I do like the opportunity to go over the top. That could also be an opportunity for you to maybe trim a land if you want. Now, Embercleave here is a legendary artifact equipment. It's got flash. It costs 1 less for each attacking creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, you get to immediately attach it to a creature you control, and then equip creature gets +1/+1, double strike, and trample. So huge there. And then again, all the lands, great interaction here for our Mardu. We got the nice modals, we got the triomes. Now here's a call out that you always have to remember. So this allows you to spend this mana only to cast knights or equipment spells. So a lot of times players will play a version of knights but run things like Bone Crusher. You have to make sure that you have that mountain mana available. It's not going to work with Tournament Grounds. So I do want to call that out here. In this case though, I don't think you have to worry except for Dire Tactics. So keep that in mind, and then also keep that in mind with the sideboard, because this could come back to haunt you or come into play when you may want to be casting this and you might not actually have the right mana base. So keep that in mind. So that is the main board for the Mardu Knights deck, my friends. Let's go ahead and check out the sideboard. Here we have Fight as One. This instant spell allows us to do 1 or 2 things here, and we can either do one or everything, essentially. Target human we control gets +1/+1, gains indestructible until end of turn. Target non-human creature we control gets +1/+1, gains indestructible until end of turn. So everything we have here is a human. So we're not going to be able to double up in terms of what we're doing. but what it does do is it gives you that nice indestructible if you need it. So it's going to help you dodge direct kill spells, those kinds of things in terms of that removal. It can also help you in terms of some of the death touchers that you may run into, and help kind of clear a lane with your body there. Then we have Giant Killer. So here, this is a really good card against kind of mid-rangey decks or bigger creature type decks. It's got Chop Down as its adventure. It's an instant speed where we can destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. The other thing is when you do have this in play and you can tap down, it makes a huge difference as well. So for the 2 there, you can tap target creature and get that 1/2 body. Here's a fun one. I saw this mainboarded the other day here after the reset in another deck. A nice card to have in against other creatures where you can destroy target tapped creature. It's great on the defensive. It's something that people certainly have forgot about. So looking forward to playing this. Great against those aggro decks. Other Knights decks, Boros against Winata decks. Great against the Gruul decks. All sorts of spots that you guys can play this, like Mono Red too. Then we got Shredded Sails. So here it destroys target artifact. It also deals 4 damage to target creature with flying. You can play this against the rogue stacks if you want. You can definitely want to play this against Mono Red. You might want to play this against Gruul aggro as well. This hits Great Henge. This will obviously hit Cleave. Lots of good spots that this one could work out for you. And anyone that's potentially playing Mono White too, this hits the 2-drop artifact that may remove your 3-drop or less creature too. Then we got another Dire Tactics. I like this against any creature-based deck. It's going to work well. The exile is huge for you. Get those things off the board and very powerful. Then we have Call of the Death Dweller. So here we can return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from our graveyard to the battlefield. Put a Death Touch counter on either of them, and then put a Menace counter on either of them. You're going to play this against mill decks, rogue decks. I like it against mid-range decks, and you may want to play it against late game if they have board wipes. That's where you're going to want to play this as well, or a lot of control decks that are doing instant kill, that kind of stuff. This gives you an opportunity to have that chance in that best of 3 matchup to bring some of those things back and move it out of that pure aggro game to some other late game kind of alternatives. Then we have the Crowan War. So this is a very, very powerful, super competitive card now here in a lot of the sideboard matchups. Seen a lot of mainboard actually as well. Here, this Saga it does 3 things. We gain control of target creature for as long as the Crowan War remains on the battlefield. 2, until our next turn, creatures our opponents control attack each combat if able. And then 3, each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. So this you're going to want to run again against those aggro decks, or potentially some of those mid-rangey decks like Selesnya, Adventures, those kinds of things. Also the Gruul aggro deck that we mentioned, Boros Warriors, Boros Winata, those kinds of things. The Boros aggro deck that we did yesterday, this is a good one to play against too. Then we have Ox of Agonis here for our last sideboard card. We got 2 of these. I like this because it helps you refill your hand. So again, it's going to give you some more gas on your Mardu Knights deck. When it enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. For 2, it's escape cost plus 8 other cards. You can return it from your graveyard. Ox of Agonis escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. You're going to play this against rogues, and depending on your mid-range matchup and your late-game matchup, I would also pull these in. So good against like the Yorin control decks, Doom decks, those things, and then additionally works well against some of the mid-range Croxa decks. If you got a discard or something like that, you can pop this guy in your graveyard and you'll be good there. Now, one of the things that I don't mind doing too is just another additional strategy to call out in terms of a rogue matchup. You could always dump in these 4 and play like a 64 or 60 plus deck if you wanted to, or Dire Tactics or Swift Response and those things, because that can make a huge difference. So you don't get milled out and you still have those options, and you got a lot of creatures. So you should be hitting something playable hopefully each turn. and this will give you a lot of opportunity to do that as well. So I did want to call that out. So with that, that is the sideboard. We're now going to talk about how we pull that in for our best of 3 match, and we'll talk about it in terms of aggro, the mid-range, and the late game matchup. So first off, in aggro, we're pretty powerful here already. The biggest thing that you're going to want to do, if anything, is you're going to want to clear with dire tactics. You're going to want to have swift response and maybe fight as one. Those are kind of the few things that I would consider, maybe even call the Death Dweller in terms of a late game. Depending on how big they get, you could always pop the Acroan War on there, or Shred Sails. So it's just going to be depending on what you're playing. I'm just going to look at it in terms of 4 cards here, because not a whole lot that I'm particularly going to move out. Now, what I would look to move out is I like this guy at the top end to pull. Some of these things are very powerful for us. So again, if we're looking at creatures, personally for me, I would consider Black Lance or Rimrock as my 2 that I would potentially pull. This flash into Worthy Knight is nice as well with this, because then you'll get that additional token, something to remember. But it can be a little bit slow. It's nice to pop your creature for another 2 and make them a little bit bigger to take out some of those bigger creatures at times. But again, it's just going to be, it can be a little bit slower. So those are kind of the 2 spots that I would consider. That gives you 8. You could always go 2 and 2, those kinds of things. So that's a good spot for you to kind of trade up. And then next, when we talk about the mid-range game, if we are running into kind of the Kroxa or otherwise more creature based, you'll have to decide in terms of how you play around those. If it's more less creature heavy, they got more kill spells, you're probably going to want to run things like Fight as One, potentially Dire Tactics. You may want to run Call of the Death Dweller to pull things back. And then on the flip side, if it's more creature based, you'll probably go with the Giant Killer, maybe Swift Response. You could go with the Acroan War as well. So another 4 there, plus let's go 4 to 8, depending on kind of how you're going to look at it. But again, this is the same spot that I would look to optimize. I like keeping this guy because of the 2/1. I like that, the 1/1, and the pump just to get your guy a little bit bigger can make a big difference in the match. And then last but not least, we're going to have late game decks. These are very fast. Again, we're aggro, so it's a good matchup. You're actually going to be able to remove Dire Tactics because you're probably not going to be playing a lot of creatures. What I would then look to do is move in the Ox of the Gonus, like I said, to refill your hand. So that's the spot that I would look to move. At least that, if they are more of a kill heavy deck, you can pull and Call the Death Dweller. I would look to maybe move out the Rimrocks there on that side, because Black Lance, you may want the life. You may want to flash something in if they're playing like an Ugin, pop this guy on, at least get the 3 damage in. That can make a huge difference for you too. So those are all good ones that I would consider moving on and playing for the best of 3 match. So Planeswalkers, that is the Mardu Knights deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We talked about the deck in its totality. We talked about the sideboard, bringing those together for a nice little how-to guide for you in terms of best of 3. So now we're going to go take it into action and play some best of 1 and best of 3 here today. I think it's like day 2 of January season. So I think we're like mid-platinum tier 3. I haven't had as much time to play yet. But yeah, pretty impressive. People already hit number 1. But it's more to me that's 2 things: a function of time and having a good deck to play. And the tier list will give you guys exactly what you need in terms of decks as well. But we're focused today on this lovely Mardu Knights deck. If you do got questions or comments, again, like I said, let me know down below. We did the Boros Aggro deck yesterday. Super fun, you guys. So go ahead and check this one out as well. So let's go pop in our standard ranked here. Now, quickly, as always, a huge thank you to you. I truly appreciate your support. Again, please feel free to subscribe to the channel down there. I'd love to hit 10,000 subscribers. Every little bit helps. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can also like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this, and other great ways to support the channel down below. So this is actually going to be a tough one here for me. I do like my turns. The trick here is going to have to be kind of there's Rimrocks. The nice piece is we do have all the colors, so I will keep it. The problem here, though, is we don't have the double up on the Needle Verge. Now we're good. And the double up was more so for that cleave. We're gonna run into a slight challenge here, though, because this is going to be a mono white life gain deck, most likely. And if that is the case, it's not going to be beneficial against an aggro deck like this. We're going to run into some problems, and we don't have enough removal that we would particularly like to have, in my opinion here. And we need to keep this up now. So I will do... We're going to lose this guy to Speaker, most likely. Well, that's the best one. We'll give them the 2 counters. They're both going to go on Speaker of the Heavens for sure, though. That was the best block that I could give. I can't block on something else. It would have made it worse. I would not have put that on the LC because you can sack it as well. So I don't know why they did that, to be honest. So we'll do this. So the challenge I have here, but what I can do is I could play this main board and set myself up nicely for a nice hit next turn, but I'm going to hold them up and hope that nothing happens here, because then what I can do is I can hit the Elseed's Life Bounty with the Rimrock Knight here. So we'll see, though. So what would happen here is they're going to protect this guy. We'll block here. So this gives us a 3. So this is the time that Rimrock pays off for us. So doesn't matter if he sacks LC here. Now they could have something. So now I need to decide. I actually think I'm going to play this. Play Tournament Grounds. So I can trade the Worthy Knight on the Speaker of Heavens. We'll go with Rimrock. We'll see if he blocks. He can make the other one bigger if they want to, but I can still double block with the Worthy there. Ouch. So this is going to hurt. So I don't know if that was a top deck or not, but worked out for him. This is a bad matchup. Mono white life gain really excels at this. So I'm going to take all of it. The only card that would change the match for me here would have been the Exile. So we'll play this. We can play this. We have no chance, by the way. So they literally just don't even have to block. Giving me Linden is the worst thing that they could do. So this is what we're going to play, and that is going to be match. And we'll go to our next game. So nothing we could do in that situation. That's a bad, really bad matchup for us. The only difference in terms of best of one match that I would say that would probably be a little bit better for the main board would be to pull more of those exiles in. Again, for what we started with, it wasn't bad. We just hit a bad deck that holds up really well. And I play mono white pretty heavily in my competitive play, obviously. All right, so here we go. I like this again. We don't have that T1 drop, but we got the nice lands. We got Worthy Knights, so we can start there. Now, this could either be a Mill Rogues deck. It could be more of a control deck. We'll have to find out here. If they have a counter, this is going to hurt. Oh, that's painful. That is really painful. So that's not going to help us now. So the one match where we actually needed that, we didn't get it. So let's see if we can get this on. Hopefully we can get the knight on. All right. Now I'm gonna hold Black Lance up because depending on what they play, I don't want to risk losing more than one guy right now. We'll keep that. So they'll be able to pull a lot back with their Maze Mine in terms of health. We'll see though. Two, 5, 7. There comes Exile. Even's gonna hurt really bad. We'll keep our 2. They're at 6. So now we have this. That's what I was pulling for. So now we can do this. There we go. So if they hit something that's going to wipe my board again, we're going to be in a problem. If we hit a cleave, it's game over unless they got a counter, but they probably got a counter because it's a control deck. So they can draw with Maze Mine. So this is one where I'd sideboard in the Oxes and potentially the Indestructible, plus the Destroy, so that we would kill those Maze Mines. So let's see if we can get away with it here. We're gonna force it. Oh. Yeah, we're in a real bad spot against this deck. They still have the Cling, they got the Maze Mine. We don't have as much action. If we would have had a 1-drop off the bat, it probably would have been a little bit nicer for us. But obviously that was not the case. We'll play it. Ooh, that's a good game. I'm gonna play him. It's not gonna matter. shark. No. Oh, of course we're hitting lands. So what we would need to do, we would need to hit a knight, a claimed knight, pull something of value, and then go from there. But we're not going to get it, I don't think. We're going to run out of time. All right, good game, my friend. So unfortunately, yeah, that's not going to do it. Unfortunately, did not have the juice that we would have expected or had on par for today, going backwards in tier 3 platinum. That is a bummer, but this is like playing top end of Mythic right now here, usually for the first week anyway. So still like the deck. I think could use a couple more main board interactions there. That would be something I would change up. And then obviously we got kind of flooded, so that's just bad luck. All right, so traditional standard ranked. Here's that Boros aggro deck we did yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Today, again, onto the Mardu Knights deck. So Planeswalkers, as always, again, a huge thank you. I truly appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there as we make our way, hopefully, to 10,000 this year. I'd appreciate that. Additionally, like the video. If you like it, you can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Stay up to date on content like this. And also great way to support the channel down below, my friends. All right, so we have been paired way up in our best of 3. So we'll enjoy this nice little Mardu action here against a opponent who is very overranked on us right now. This is a great start for us. So we can go. The only problem is that's counterintuitive to what we kind of want to run to start. We got an aggro deck anyway. So I am gonna slow play this. So we got Mono Red, so this is actually gonna be a pretty fun matchup. So we'll bring in the other exile stuff here, and we'll go from there. No blocks. There we go. So we got a lot of stuff we can do here. We're actually going to do this. So we'll bring another one in. And then we'll go like this. We'll bring this one in. So maybe they're missing a color. I don't know. So much stuff. So we're gonna do this. Oh, we need red. We'll do that. We'll do that. Then we can do Rim and Black Lance if we want. So the nice thing here is when the Fervent kills the Venerable Knight, it's going to be a first strike, so we're actually going to move the +1/+1 counter. So here comes first strike damage. So here comes the counter. And on the stack, I'm going to make this guy even bigger. There we go. Nice, 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 nice. So they can drop Torbran. So what I need to do here is I'm going to drop the Acclaimed Contender first. And then I'm going to keep the Neil Verge pathway open and the Tournament Grounds open to take a look for Cleave. If I can get Cleave, will be a game finisher. Now they're gonna get 2 damage off of the Stormfist here too. So here's another one. So we can actually do this. So we'll grab. Is that what we want to do? Is the question. Don't want to do that. No Cleave. Nothing. So we'll grab this guy again. So 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna put the 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they gotta give up an extra one there if they want it. I think this should do it. So they gotta pull 2 on each of these. And if they don't do that, then they lose 2 life next turn. So he's got to block the Black Lance. And we're still going to get 4 through. So they have to have lethal next turn. Which, if they have the Torbran, then I'm done. So go to 2, 3. They have enough for Cleave. So Cleave would put Fervent at 6. There it is. Of course, of course. So we could have played that slightly differently. We could have waited. We could have done a few things, but unfortunately, we were unable to get to where we needed to be. Actually, we might be okay because that's 8. There's a Cleave. So they did have both. Oh, pain. We had him at 1. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We can play this a little bit differently, so we're going to grab that. We don't need Shredded Sails. A Crowing War is super fun in this. Swift Response is good. Call of Death Dweller is good in that. Now, I'm going to drop these. I'm also going to drop the Black Lance. Actually, we'll drop the Rimrock. I like the Black Lance. And then if we need a refill, let's grab one of these guys. So this is how we're going to play this one instead. A little bit slower, a little bit more methodical this time. Just did not hit the way that we thought it would have. We were short by one and they had the right response. So that is how it goes. Now, what we could have done is, the problem though, is they still would have had to cleave. I'm trying to think if they would have had enough creatures to activate Torbrand and the cleave. That might have been the one difference there. Or if we had split that, the additional pump there, that would have been the difference. If we would have gave, instead of 5 on the 1 and gone 3 and 3, that would have been a little bit better. All right, so we'll keep this. We need a land. There we go. So next turn we drop the Inspiring and the Storm Fist. That's bold. That's very bold. So they're going to have a cleave, which they very well could. But we'll double up on one. So as long as they don't get me to 1 damage, we'll be okay. Then we can drop them all and go over the top too. Uh-oh. There we go. That's fine. All right, so next match, my friends, we will keep this and we'll try it again. We're gonna be on the turn. Oh, it's gonna make a big difference. They did start the first match though, I think, on the play. We can't keep this. We got them all again. This we can keep. I'm gonna drop. Oh, I don't want to drop that. I want to keep a Crow and War that saved us. Not gonna drop there. I think we go Worthy Knight, to be honest, you guys. I don't like that play. I really don't. Shoot. It also didn't set up well for Dire Tactics. So if we would have gone the other route, that could have worked fine too. But this does give me a Crow and War. Oh man, look at that flood begin. Look at the flood begin. That is so brutal. This is a hard one. This is a hard one. He can pump him, so he blocks Fervent. Oh, turn 4. We have to wait. We're gonna hit him for the 3. Nice. But we got our crowing. So we need the double red. Now, land and cleave, they can also use the Castle Ambreth and hit me. They'll take it off, but we'll get the stuff on our side. If not, they're still gonna get hurt pretty bad with the Crow and War. That is painful. All right, so we can go like this. We can go like this. And then we go that. Now we don't have to block. That's the other thing. Crusader's probably going to slightly help them in terms of the draw, but we'll go from here. They got cleave, they got it. Be very close. Be 7 damage. And we'll die from our Stormfist. We had a huge whiff on that Fervent, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, my friends, I think we're going to be up a crick here. We did not hit anything that we could have used. And I'll lose both. I'll clock out on Stormfist on my own guys. He could actually double Embereth for the game, I think, to be honest. So I have to block both. Well, one there. Never mind. But I need to clock my own guys here. Oh, and I didn't have the other knight. I'm not going to give up yet. Here's the cleave. There's the double it is, though. Now they had the double. One turn too slow. Alright, my friends. We did not have a good day with the Mardu Knights deck, unfortunately. Super fun, though, nonetheless. Quick, fast-paced games. Did not hit well. Again, seemed like mana was a huge issue. I would actually run less with this particular deck, so let's go ahead and check it out again. And the other thing that we ran into an issue is if we do run more lands, we didn't have anything to prevent flooding like the modals. So that would be a suggestion that I would make. So with that said, though, super fun deck, a lot of fun. I would also move in some more main board interactions there. I think getting some form of other removal other than dire tactics could be pretty beneficial. Again, these are kind of, in my mind, and potentially venerable. 6, you could probably cut 2 there, go 8 cards that you can maybe switch up on this particular one. Dire Tactics is good. The Aquilon War did great for us. We did split that best of 3, 1 and 2, but we definitely could have took that home. This matchup against a Mono Red is not a bad matchup. We just didn't have what we needed to overcome there. So super fun deck. Love the Mardu Knights. Not as strong as it used to be, definitely not, but definitely something worth playing, and you can tweak it a little bit, I think, to slightly improve it. But again, this is the Platinum to Mythic 6+ wins deck. Great deck that I've seen in terms of something competitive, so wanted to share that with you here today. Now, Planeswalkers, if you do got questions or comments, let me know down below. Always happy to help. Additionally, you guys can hop in the Discord server. I do have that information there. And last but not least, Planeswalkers, as always, a huge thank you. I truly appreciate your support. So please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there, as I'd like to make it to 10,000 subs this year. And additionally, like the video if you enjoyed it, if you learned something new, if you feel sorry for the Mardu deck today. But nonetheless, can't win all the time, can't win straight out all the time either. So we'll call it even so far for the year. And you can also like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on content like this. Other great ways to support the channel, my friends. I love doing deck list reviews for the patrons and YouTube members. So feel free to do that, you guys. Again, really enjoyed the deck. Did not perform as well that I was hoping. Slightly underwhelmed in terms of where I thought it was going to be, but that's also what happens when you don't have too many interactions. We got some of the Worthy Night Flood going. We whiffed on our Acclaimed Contender. We saw me miss on one because we didn't have another creature on the board. So the right play there would have been to block the but we didn't know it was coming. We could block the Bone Crusher, let the damage come through, drop the Acclaimed, and then maybe we would have found something else. So with that said, Planeswalkers, again, hope you enjoyed today's episode. Super fun. Love doing the Mardu stuff. And we'll see you again soon. Stay safe. We got a lot more coming your way. And until next time, Planeswalkers, Mythras out.